Hi community of awesome, I'm Ava J and this is Bookish Pixie. So not too long ago on one of my vlogs I talked about bad disability tropes if you're writing disabled characters. And along that vein, someone recently asked me if I could talk about writing marginalized characters. So let's talk about it. One of the first things you'll want to consider when writing marginalized characters is you need to know the difference between writing marginalized characters and writing a story about marginalization. So what does that mean? Well, for example, there's a difference between writing a chronically ill character and writing a story about being chronically ill. The former acknowledges chronically ill people exist in the world of your story, which is great. And then the latter acknowledges chronically ill people exist in the world of your story, while also delving into the experience of being chronically ill. The latter is a lot harder to pull off, and some people from different marginalized groups believe that those stories should be left to people with those marginalizations. As for me, I tend to agree with that, though there are some exceptions, but I think there comes a point in time when, as a writer, you need to ask yourself, is this my story to tell? Sometimes when you ask yourself, is this my story to tell, the answer is gonna be no, and that's okay. You can tell another story. That doesn't mean you shouldn't include marginalized peoples in your story, 100% not saying that, but it does mean that you're gonna wanna think long and hard about whether or not you wanna write a story about being marginalized. Okay, moving on. The next thing you want to remember is to listen to the communities that you're representing. This applies regardless of whether or not you yourself are part of that community. While you're listening to those communities, you're gonna wanna especially pay attention to what common stereotypes and problematic tropes there are, and learn why they're problematic. Conversely, you also want to learn and read examples of what makes a good representation for that community. By actively listening to the communities, it'll help you avoid the pitfalls that befall other writers who just aren't putting in the work. Next, make sure you absolutely work with sensitivity readers. This again applies regardless of whether or not you're part of the community, because we ingrain so much stuff from society that is really problematic, and it is really easy for that stuff to slip into our work if we don't have someone checking on us. And this is the same kind of checks that you do with a critique partner, where a regular critique partner is checking for plot holes and bad character development. A sensitivity reader is focusing on problems with your representation. That way, when you're done working with a sensitivity reader, you can fix the problems that are there before sending it out to other people. Finally, know that you can do all that and still mess up. If you do mess up, listen to the criticism, apologize, and do the work to do better. Ultimately, there's a lot of work involved in writing marginalized characters, but I think it's absolutely worth it because you're writing for people who don't frequently see themselves accurately represented in the media, and that's pretty cool. But if you think that sounds like too much work, well, you're probably not ready to write marginalized characters. So that's what I got for today. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.